All right, welcome to the Super Centex After Dark podcast. A lot of fun as always. Let's go round the horn. I'm gonna start in Abbott, Texas, with Michael Haig. He looks like he's back from Abbott.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting nice and pretty. It was a pretty typical Abbott dominant win, right? And
Yeah, we got a
what?
mercy rule. How's that?
Yeah.
How's that stadium?
Oh, it's nice. I mean, I honestly told Coach Crawford, I said, I know y'all were working until the last minute trying to clean things up, make sure everything's working. I said, but I mean, honestly, it looked really good outside of some of the grounds kind of around the stadium. And I'm sure you've been out there, Bryce, to see it, but it was really nice.
Do
Mm.
they have luxury suites?
No luxury suites, but I felt pretty luxurious sitting in my own little press box spot up
Oh
there.
with
yeah, the
with
press box.
Waco
I mean,
Trib on
oh,
it. That was sweet.
now that's granted there were no radio crews there, so I think that was technically a radio box, but still pretty nice. Yeah, it had our sign on it. I mean, I
Yeah,
was I was sitting pretty. I was and there's an AC thing in there just blowing. You can have it as cold as you want. There's Coach Crawford gave me a little like cooler thing with waters. I mean, he had me set. Plenty of plugs. Yeah, again, I had my feet kicked up again. I mean, when they mercy ruled what 2 plays into the second half, I mean it. Yeah, I probably could have hit West check stop in West if I really wanted to, but yeah, no, it was a good performance, a good way to start. Kind of christen that new stadium for Abbott. I know Coach Crawford kind of mentioned. I mean, it wasn't really it almost sounds crazy to say it really wasn't the cleanest of performances. They had, I think, 3 touchdowns called back for
mm.
flags. In fact, the game-winning touchdown was the third straight touchdown scored. 2 previous plays were called back. One was a kickoff return. Like they could have
Wow.
literally walked the game off with the kickoff return, but there was, I think, a holding or a block in the back, and then they were backed up, I think, at the 25 or something, and they ripped off a long run that was also called back. So they were back to like the 20. And anyway, it was just a whole thing.
Are
Um,
you a fan of Six Man?
oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
My again, I think I've told you this, Bryce. My dad was a longtime sports writer, and he told me he was like you've never covered Texas high school football till you cover six man, and now I've gotten I think 2 games under my belt. So no, this is my third. So
Yeah.
yeah, really cool. They're loaded. Obviously, Abbott's kind of a train, man. They can roll, and they're very senior heavy in terms of their skill guys. One thing that, just to kind of close out real quick, one thing that Coach Crawford had mentioned that I think is kind of underrated for them is Hogan Warren is their quarterback now. They don't have to move Mason there, or they don't have to play him there. It kind of it's similar to university in the sense it allows them to get as many skill guys on the field as possible and kind of play their for university it's play their best 11, for Abbott it's play their best 6. And man, I think they're good. They're number 2 in the state for a reason, right? They're really good. So
Yeah.
yeah, very very good way to open that stadium for them.
So on my screen right above you is Mr. Levi Caraway, who saw a wild one, right? At Waco High, at Waco ISD.
I did. I believe that was the second high school game I've ever covered. That was a one score game. So that was pretty cool.
We'll try to
Wow.
get you to some more close ones.
No, it was cool though. It was really cool for Waco High. I mean, they doubled their win total from last year. Coach Helt said after the game, this was their first time since 2017 that they had won 2 of their first 3 games. And they honestly I was pretty impressed by them. Like they have their quarterback is pretty good. Their running back's really good. They have some veterans up front, and that was the thing he said. He was like, in the past, we probably would have lost that game, but those veteran guys at those key positions, even though there was the ebbs and flows with that throughout the game, that kind of kept them steady. And then they got out to an early 14-0 lead. It kind of looked like they were going to choke it because I was texting you guys. I was frustrated because I had everything written. I was like, let's go. And then what's Cleburne scored at the end, and then Waco High was driving to like seal the game. And then Mason Smith ran for like a first down, but there was a holding. So then it was like 3rd and 25. They had to punt. Cleburne just chucked this like pass up and then got like a lucky 75-yard touchdown off of it. And then it went to overtime. But then thankfully in overtime, Waco High just kind of their experience up front on both lines really showed, and they kind of just dominated. And yeah, so it was a really cool moment for them, really good overtime win, and I'm happy for that team and that staff because there's some good people, and I was worried that they were gonna not come away with the victory, but it was a good night all around for
Well,
them.
to go from 0 points against Granbury in their season opener to 27 and winning in overtime, that's a couple of big steps forward.
Yeah,
Absolutely. As Zach Smith called them a couple weeks ago, uh, good humans, but they're looking more like a good football team.
yeah.
I mean, Zach, you've been on those guys for 2 years, and they're finally rewarding you with some wins. Meanwhile, the game you saw, Marlin got its first win of the year.
Man, Caden Judy just put on a show. Like, I mean, this was really a no contest from the start. Just Marlin was like just absolutely just steamrolling Chilton. Chilton could get nothing going up front. They couldn't block Marlin at all on defense. And, Caden Judy had 2 touchdown receptions, 2 60-yard punt returns. Roderick Suitors, he rushed for a touchdown and threw two to Judy, and it was just there was like Marlin was
Utah.
it was just like not even close. So, yeah, Marlin looked really good. They've got some really big guys up front, and I know that they started against a couple really tough teams, and they wanted to get their offense going, and they really did that in a big way. So, and I don't know what else to say other than Marlin just.
They started the season with playing 2 pretty good teams. I had looked up Honeygrove, and Honeygrove looked pretty good. By the way, my grandparents were from Honeygrove. That's where they grew up. So
Okay.
but
Random Honeygrove shout out.
yeah. Milton and Marjorie Conine from Honeygrove, Texas.
Milton and Marjorie, they sound like
Yep.
grandparents.
Yep.
Go on.
But I did not see a 46-0 win over Chilton coming tonight.
Well, I do think, and this is probably a topic for you and DJ and I maybe next week on a podcast, but man, I mean, it's probably premature to say this considering we haven't gotten to district play, but yeesh, is Chilton even a playoff team? I don't know. I mean, they did lose a lot.
There was no offense whatsoever. Like they could not get that. They had 5 first downs the entire game, and like 3 of those came on the final drive of the first half when Marlin was kind of ready to get to halftime, and there was nothing offensively at all.
Meanwhile, Wortham and Frost are out there saying, "So you're telling me there's
right?"
And one more thing about this game, sure. I wore this shirt for a reason. That I'd never seen Marlin play, but that marching band, as a college marching band person, Marlin marching band, like that, they are worth the price of admission.
Yes.
How was the Marlin radio guy?
Yes.
Was the Marlin radio guy there?
I didn't sit in the press box. I was down on the field the entire time.
Hey, Bryson Maxwell Steele might be the best Marlin's best player right now. Did he have a big night? 55?
No, not really. No, everybody was having like the entire Marlin.
They're too busy running with the football to worry about anybody tackling. Yeah, okay.
They were just
What I was gonna say is, I believe Chilton is without the Super Centex Offensive Newcomer of the Year. Remind me.
Jacorian Evans.
Jacorian Evans, yes.
He's still out. He's out. He got hurt in that Mark game with the ACL, and he'll be out. He'll be back sometime, hopefully. So
he didn't have anything on his knees or anything. He was there in a jersey, but he didn't look like he was like limping or anything. But
right.
Well, let's hit DJ, who always does carpool karaoke.
And I actually, are you in like a VW van this week?
What?
Oh, you zoomed in. When you were zoomed out, you kind of had this VW van vibe, especially with the bandana in your hair and all of that.
No. I took some wrong turns on my way to Buc-ee's.
Uh-oh.
So I get here and it's already 11. I'm like, shoot.
But Buc-ee's doesn't
You could just be walking around in Buc-ee's, like kind of going live from inside Buc-ee's.
Putting my story in like right now. Yeah, but it was just a long game, man. I thought it was gonna start at 7. It started at 7:30, and then it was like uh it was scoreless until the last 11 seconds of the first half. Because I mean, just both of these defenses are so good, Whitney and Hillsborough. Um, but yeah, it was like I, I don't know what to say, man. Like the Hillsborough could not land a pass for most of the game, and like Moses Rangel, their quarterback, has a heck of an arm, right? But like he had most of the yardage in the first half on keepers because like they couldn't find a way through, and then but their defense was doing great because Whitney had less than 100 yards of offense in the first half. Um, they went 3-and-out like their first 3 or 4 drives of the game and gave up an interception. But they were able to.
Jonte Johnson, I saw your tweet. Jonte Johnson didn't do anything till the second half. Like he didn't have.
He wasn't on the field in the first half, and I don't know what I asked David Haynes about it afterward, and he was just like, "Oh, he was just dealing with something, and had to sit out the first half." And yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if that's like he was dealing with something from the last game. Last week they played Benbrook and they lost that game. So, yeah, but he came. They got the score. Finally were able to get some first down passes to Caden Tanner and Kobe Haynes, and they had one like fake handoff where Mason Seeley was able to find Dalton Nagel, who's their big, fullback. And the crowd just goes crazy, right? It was senior night, so like they were all, excited for the seniors and trying to get the win there. But, they're finally able to get the touchdown there to end the half. They come back and Jonte Johnson puts them in position to score again. And, they recover a fumble. Mason Seeley finds Caden Tanner for a 23-yard touchdown. So they're up to 20-0. And then Hillsborough was finally able to score at the end of the third quarter. And in the fourth quarter, I swear I was thinking, like, the Wildcats gave Hillsborough every chance to come back, right? Because the Eagles were just putting on play after play. Whitney had some penalties. They gave up a couple of fumbles. They just couldn't find the offense again. But I swear, like, Hillsborough just could not find, like, that extra push that they needed, right? And so, like, Whitney ended up winning, which was, great for them.
They should have gone to Buc-ee's and gotten some brisket sandwiches before the game.
In between.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Whitney. 17 sophomores on varsity, right?
Yeah.
So we can expect them to be all over the place for a while. But once they kind of like where they're quote unquote not sophomores anymore, they might be pretty dang tough. Yeah.
I mean, they had several sophomores that made big plays in this game. I mean, Hillsborough was about to make like the play. They were in the red zone and they get picked off by, gosh, what's this kid's name? Jake Lessman, right?
Yeah. He made a pick in the season opener that I saw at Mart. Yeah.
Yeah. And like literally like in front of the goal line, he picks off Rangel, and that kind of, and there was like a minute and a half left in the game. Whitney gives them back the ball, right, with a minute, and they just can't get down the field. And the game's, there's like 20 seconds left on the clock, and they called it. So I was like, well, like it was a long game. I went and got Tex-Mex before, like Bryce told me earlier in the week. It wasn't
She gave
bad.
it an 8 out of 10, right?
Yeah, it was an 8 out of 10. I was telling Coach Haynes about it afterward. He was like, "You should have gone to Billy's Burgers." And I was like, I don't know. I'm taking leftovers home from there. I also stopped at Check Stop before I got there.
You made a
early
food tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm about to go into Buc-ee's and pick up late dinner after I finish.
All right. Well, let's hit Chad real quick. Conley, it sounded like reading your story, wasn't completely pleased with the way they played, but they still got a win.
Yeah, I was a little baffled. I think maybe what was sticking in Terry Garrick's craw about the way things went is they got the ball inside the 5 early in the game, and they were using this sort of wildcat package with Braden Ford kind of as the wildcat quarterback, and it was like that little British girl that said this summer, "He's gonna get nowhere with that."
You love that freaking meme or whatever.
That is my favorite thing of the year so far. The little British girl who's complaining that ice cream
Yes,
costs
you showed it to
£9.
me. You
Two
showed
ice
it to me.
creams with 2 chewing gums in it. He's gonna get nowhere with that.
Yes, thank you.
Anyway,
Very obscure
Colin was getting
reference.
nowhere with the Wildcat quarterback. And but that other than that, everything was like went well. Jam Benson probably had the best like throwing night that I've seen. He hit several big plays. He kind of showed the ability to be like, all right, I'm going to get this done myself. Broke away for a 79-yard touchdown run, a 48-yard touchdown run. They got a strip sack right before the half, so they scored 10 points in the final 90 seconds of the half to take a 10-point lead to halftime. So just like a lot of things that went well for them, but enough didn't go well. And I guess when you're playing a smaller school and you got the schools they got left on their schedule, you're not going to be really satisfied with just beating the smaller school, right? Even though Grandview is number 8 in their classification and division. So yeah, but I mean, I thought they looked pretty good. It was a September game for sure.
Yeah. So I'm batting 6-hole, and I had similar vibes to your game in terms of uh there was a lot Midway did not do right tonight, and as
They
DJ
were
was
playing a
saying,
lot better competition than they've been playing.
sure, yeah, and as DJ was saying about her game, with Hillsborough not taking the opportunity, uh, I mean, I'm not even gonna name this kid's name, but poor Leander Rouse's kicker might have been
Oh yeah.
might have been the MVP for Midway because he missed 3 chip shot field goals. And I mean, it's high school football, kids are gonna mess up, but they were big misses because Rouse would drive, get close, and not get any points out of it. But I did think Midway's defense really kept the Panthers in the game. Carlos Talton is great. Lane Alexander had a big pick late in the fourth quarter that got the ball back to the Panthers. Um, our boy, our quarterback on the all-name team, Cash Money pulling. He had a rough night tonight. He was not good most of the night, but Joe Gillespie praised his perseverance and said that, he liked the way he led the team down the stretch. And you know how you'll watch a game sometimes and a team will be doing absolutely nothing. And then, they hit a little pass or they just get a little gainer and all of a sudden you get a little confidence and it starts clicking a little bit. And so Midway scored with 1 second left in the third quarter to take the lead for good, 10-6. And fourth quarter, it was all Panthers. I mean, defense showed out, and Lathan Wissington started just breaking off stuff in chunks. He had 3 straight 12-yard runs at one point, had an 81-yard run that was really kind of the icer. So
Hey, Bryce, since you cover Midway all the time now, like if their offense is struggling, are you going to start calling it and writing an IOU
okay.
because they can't get cash pulling going,
I see. I see where you went with that.
or the defense is making them write checks?
That their bodies can't cash. uh No, the passing game was not great tonight, but when you have a back like Lathan Wissington, who's just a sophomore, and I was talking with Carlos Talton after the game, their defensive end, and he was like, I'm going to be going to college next year, meaning playing college football. He said, I'm not sure I'll see a back like Lathan in college. He's a tough, tough kid who's already getting D1 looks. Um, and he had 23 rushing yards in the first half. Like I said, Midway didn't do anything in the first half. He
What
finished with 190.
who is the kid that said that their motto is "Don't freak out"? DFO, don't freak out.
Yeah, that was Carlos Talton. He's a really good
But
interview.
see, here's the thing: when if those are all one syllable words, there's no reason to abbreviate it. Just say "Don't freak out." It's not shorter to say DFO.
I'm sure it's a Gillespie thing, but yes, DFO, that's one of their things. Don't freak out. They didn't. They didn't freak out. They won the game. They're 3-0. And as you said, Chad, Leander Rouse was a step up in competition. I think it probably is even tougher next week. They go to Mansfield on a Thursday night for a road game. I mean, that'll be a tough place to play. Maybe I'll have to play better, I would think, to win that one. Before we get out of here, Chad, DJ, and I all went to the China Spring University game last night. Sloppy, but entertaining, wouldn't y'all say?
It was a cool environment. I shot photos and just a lot of like good student section participation on both sides, and they were there the whole game. It wasn't a full stadium, but there was enough people on both sides to make it feel like a cool environment.
DJ?
Oh yeah. It was, oh my gosh, dude. It was, I think, everything we thought it would be.
Maybe a little messier.
It didn't, maybe a little busier, but it was honestly it was worth it, I actually went home and wrote my rewind. Like most of my rewind is probably going to be from that game because like
I tell you what, the way University played in the second half, and with Evans, what's Evans' first name?
Ladarius
Evans. Them having the change of pace backs with him and Bell, and then defense is also still having to worry about Cade Bynum and London Smith. This University team could be fun to cover for a long time this year.
Yeah, they're going to have to clean up the mistakes.
Yeah.
But they showed the ability to do that.
Right, right. That was a step forward in the second half. I mean, they owned the second half. So
I talked to Joaquin Martinez, who's our defensive newcomer of the year last year, and they were talking about how when the schedule came out, they were like, we saw China Spring and we're talking about, we're gonna be kings of Waco once we beat China Spring. And I was like, I mean, I don't know. It was a good quote. If they keep playing the way they played in the second half, and they beat Belton and they beat Brenham and they beat Waco High, then maybe they'll actually, earn that title.
I mean, let's take a second here. Let's take a second here and recognize that we had a dreadful season, big schools wise, a couple of years ago when Waco High, Midway, and University won a combined one game. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How it's turned.
And at this point, they're a combined 8-1.
8-1. That's it's a lot more fun when not just our small schools are doing well, but our big schools are doing well too. So good for the Panthers, Lions, and Trojans. Let's get out of here. Y'all go to bed. We'll see you at Baylor. Peace out.
We'll see me there.